Welcome to the A&A Newscast. Today, my partner Alexa and I will present to you 3 topics that are in our daily life and you probably did not know. The headlines below. I'm going to give you the definition of utopia and some examples.
I'm going to explain the meaning and give you an example of dystopia, and I will also give you some recommendations from dystopian movies. I'm going to explain the meaning of racial segregation, solution, image, and give you some recommendations, so don't miss today's broadcast.
Newsflash has created a vaccine that we will make humanity immortal. This is a result of the pandemic that we had to live. It is said that the vaccine contains remains of the bat that caused COVID-19. Now, thanks to the Chinese, we will be immortal. Alert! This was a clear example of bad propaganda, where the audience is manipulated through a disinformation statement. Do not fall into the trap. You must always be vigilant. I will show you other examples of bad propaganda. Caracol assured that Albert Uribe tested positive for the coronavirus. Uribe said, "Little children came out positive for coronavirus. I'm in the hospital, but calm down." A very Colombian saying, "Yerba mala nunca muere." Arguments supposedly based on an Italian investigation. Any cardiologist will tell you that you are at a risk of heart attack. But propaganda says that Ivan Duque will deduct money from the payroll of Colombians to help pay for the vaccination of Venezuelans. Continuing with the news of the day, let's solve the concept of utopia. What is utopia? An imaginary place in which the government, laws, and social conditions are perfect. A place of ideal perfection, especially in laws, government, and social conditions. An impractical sham for social improvement. An imaginary and indefinably remote place. Examples: the Garden of Eden, an aesthetically pleasing place in which there was no knowledge of good and evil. Heaven, a religious supernatural place where good angels and human souls live in harmony. Shangri-La, in James Hilton, Lost Horizon, a mystical harmonious valley. Taoyuan means the peach blossom spring, which describes a beautiful, secluded community not affected by the rest of the world. Now, my partner Alexa from the city of Bogota will tell you about Dystopia.
Thank you, Aleja, and good morning, everyone. What is dystopia? Dystopia is an opposite term for utopia. Dystopia proposes a world where the contradiction of ideological discourses are taken to their most extreme consequence, negative consequence. For example, a dystopian book is actually it is the first book of a trilogy, but the first book was published on September 14, 2008. Why is it considered a dystopian book? Because the novel proposed a post-capitalism dystopia, a disorder in the social or political order, and a post-war. It represents a view of the world in a future in which, after a civil war, the inhabitants of the fictitious planet live under the oppression of a dictatorship. It erases current problems and warns of dangers like political totalitarianism, the social divide between rich and poor, the omnipresent power of advertising and propaganda, and the control to their distribution, the banality of violence and cruelty turning into a spectacle, into a consumer product, total reverse of an utopia. So here are some examples of dystopian movies. Now I'm going to talk about racial segregation. It consists of the separation of different racial groups in daily life. The segregation can be directed by law or it can exist through social norms. The racial segregation separated the white population and the black population of the United States during the 20th centuries. The result was an unequal society in which blacks were discriminated against and even attracted by racist individuals and organizations. So there are some examples of the racial segregation that exist in the 15th and 16th. The civil rights movement was started by black people in the 1915s and 1916s to break the prevalent pattern of racial segregation. If you want to know more about racial segregation and the movement to abolish the racism, here are some recommendations. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching A&A News and have a good day.